to Lessons with Boydie. So I kind of wanted to link lessons. The last lesson we did grief and how we are feeling, how that made us feel with depression and our emotions. So this week I wanted to do mental well-being. And again, it is a tricky subject, so if at any time you feel as if you want to hit that pause button, you want to take time away from the lesson, have a movement break, a regulation break, then that is fine. But again, a little reminder and a request that if your friends or your peers around you are feeling a little bit emotional, please respect that. Don't judge them, give them the time they need, and just support them. Okay, so your first task is our handy task. So please, can you get some scrap paper, wipe a pen, or maybe do it in your notebook or your workbook, should I say? And I want you to list all the things that you know about mental well-being. Again, nobody's going to judge you whether you know one thing or 10 things. We just want to know how much you know about mental well-being. And then it's time to hit pause and come back and join the lesson when you've completed that. I shall see you soon. Welcome back to the lesson. Okay, so what is mental well-being? Mental well-being is how we are feeling. It is how our brain tells our body and our body tells our brain that something is up, something just isn't right. And sometimes we don't even know why we're feeling these things. And again, that is fine. So there are a lot of mental well-being issues, but the issues we are going to be talking about today is anxiety and depression. So what is depression? Depression is when we're feeling really, really low, feeling very sad, we'll cry a lot of the time, we're very withdrawal, we'll have bad negative thoughts like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, oh, sometimes when I'm feeling very depressed, I put myself down and I judge the way I look and critique the things that I do. Or it could just be the fact that I'm very withdrawal and I don't really want to hang out with my friends. I don't really want to do all the things that I love. Like, for example, I love singing, I love walking, I love going swimming, but I might want to do those things. I might just want to kind of hibernate in my room and lock myself away from people. Maybe it could be I'm feeling very, very tired all the time. I have because I've got a lack of sleep. I'm not sleeping very well because all the negative thoughts in my head just keep running. Or maybe I've just got a real change in not personality but mood. And normally when somebody is feeling very depressed or very anxious around us, we can tell. Because I'm kind of like the life of the party. I'm kind of bubbly and busy. But when I'm feeling low, people can tell because I'm the total opposite. I'm very quiet. I look as if I'm sad. So if you notice those things in a friend, then just reach out and be like, are you okay? Like, do you want to talk about it? Like, I'm always here to talk about it. Like, I'm kind of concerned about you. Like, something's up. Like, I can tell. Like, it's okay if you're feeling fine. I'm just checking up on you. So that is depression. It's kind of all the things in our brain. Anxiety. What is anxiety? So anxiety affects our bodies. It can affect our brains because we can overthink things and be like, oh, something bad's going to happen. Oh, I can't do that in case. Like, what about if I get sick? That kind of thing. But it's mostly in our bodies, and our body is telling our brain that something's up. It's kind of a fight or flight. So fight or flight is kind of a thing. So example, you go to the zoo and a lion escapes from a cage. What are you going to do? Are you going to run from it, or are you going to try to fight the lion? I mean, in this case, I hope you kind of like just stay calm and be like, oh, zookeeper, the lion is out, you know. But that was our fight or flight. So that is the example given. So we can either really panic and don't know what to do, and we'll just want to run and panic and run away, or we try to keep ourselves calm and relax and composed. So the symptoms that you may get if you have anxiety is your heart could be beating really, really fast, and your blood pressure could be raising. You could feel really tightness in your chest. Sometimes you might get pains in your body, down your arm. You could feel as if your throat's closing up and it's really hard to breathe. You could get a headache. You could get sweaty. You could feel really, really sick. Again, you could feel really tired. You could feel a little bit withdrawal. as well. You might not want to hang out with your friends because you're scared in case something happens, like I mentioned at the beginning of talking about anxiety. There is a lot of symptoms with anxiety, and again, people deal with it differently. So some people with anxiety may just feel a little bit panicked. They may just feel a little bit flutter in the heart, or some people could like have a full-on panic attack. And if one of your friends are having a panic attack or they're saying I feel anxiety, just tell them to breathe. So let's try some breathing now. So deep breath. Tell them breathe. Sometimes it's good to like feel grounded, so to focus on something, to put your hand on the wall. It could be offering them like a fidget toy, but just to be like, you okay? Like breathe, get them to breathe. There's loads of different handy breathing techniques that is available. But I think it's more important that, like I said about grieving, is that your friend needs to know that you are there and that you understand how they're going through it and you're supporting them, instead of being like, oh, you're silly, like you're fine, like get over it. That's not what they need. They need your support. Okay, so task 2. So in your book or on some piece of paper or whiteboard, can you do a big line down in the middle of your book and do one side anxiety, one side depression, like this. And then I'm going to display on the screen a list of sentences of what you may be feeling if you're anxiety or depressed. And you've got to decide, is this anxiety? Is this depressed? Or you might want to write it on the line if you may feel those things for both of them. Okay, so here is the display. Hit pause and then come back later on in the lesson. Okay, so in this part of the lesson, we're going to be talking a little bit more about how we can support our friends or family or someone that we know that may be having to deal with anxiety and depression. We've talked a little bit already during the lesson, but we're going to go a bit more in depth. Okay, so how can I support someone that is dealing with depression? I think what this person needs is an ear. So try to kind of like encourage them to speak about it. You don't necessarily have to be that person they speak to, but be like, I think maybe you should speak to someone about how you're feeling, because I'm a little bit concerned about you, like we've mentioned before. And if they decide that they're going to open up about you, about what's happened, because normally it's normally triggered by something, so something's happened that triggers the depression or anxiety. So you kind of need to be peeling back the layers, kind of like an onion. There's layers to everything, and there's a reason why they're feeling that way. It's not always just the case where that, oh, I'm feeling depressed. Sometimes it is. Sometimes people just get depressed, and it's about the imbalance in our brain. And sometimes people just get anxious. Like, for example, I could just be sitting having a really good time watching telly and I start feeling anxious out of nowhere. And that is okay, that is completely normal, that is completely human. But I think a reassurance. So if, like I said, if your person decides to open up about how they're feeling, then just be there and listen. And you don't have to reply, you've just got to be like, okay, you've got to be present with them and reassure them and be like, I'm sorry you're feeling this way and I'm sorry this has happened, but I'm here. I think something you should probably try to avoid is be like, oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Try not to be that, because they're feeling like this. And if they could just do that and be like, oh, I'm fine, then they probably would have done it a lot sooner, wouldn't they? So just be like, okay, well, you can get through this and I'll help you through this. And I've got your back. That's kind of what they need. They kind of need a friend. They need somebody to care and to show that they care about them, because that's kind of like, if somebody is feeling depressed or anxiety, they kind of rely on their little circle of friends and family. to kind of like up their spirits. Another thing is to kind of like distract them if they're feeling depressed or anxious. So, of one thing that you could do is do a little game with them. So this is a handy little game. Is say 5 things. So you could be like, oh, what 5 things can you see right now? Or what 5 things can you hear right now? What 5 things can you touch around you? What 5 things could you taste or smell? And it kind of distracts the brain. That's more probably a technique for someone that's feeling anxious or having like a panic attack. But if someone's really, really upset, maybe they're getting really overwhelmed, that could help them. Or if they are feeling very depressed and they're feeling like they're putting themselves down a lot, you could still use 5 things, but kind of like flip it and reverse it to fit how they're feeling. So you could be like, oh, tell me 5 things that has happened today that's been really, really positive, that you've really enjoyed. Or tell me 5 things that you like about yourself. Because it's more like pushing them to like appreciate themselves more, and pushing them to see the positive sides of things when they also can see at the moment is all the negative. So that's kind of helpful. But you've just got to be there, work on breathing techniques. You could do research yourself on breathing techniques, so you know how to support them. Also, if you're feeling very anxious yourself, I quite like listening to meditation. So maybe you could pause this video now and one of your teachers could put a meditation video on. You don't have to do that. That is just a suggestion. If somebody is feeling very anxious, it's like I said, it's best for them to breathe. Get them water because their throat can be very, very dry. Again, find out why they're feeling that way. Is there a reason? Is there something you can do to help them? Is there something that you could pass on? But even if they're not passing on anything, if they're very withdrawal, shut down, and you're still concerned about them, maybe it's the best thing to do is let a teacher know, or let somebody, an adult know, someone that you trust know, that you're a little bit concerned about this person. Okay, we're moving on to our last task. Task number 3. I thought this would be a little bit of a nice task because it's quite a tricky topic, like I've said, and last week's topic's been a little bit tricky, so I thought we'd do something more nice. So I thought it'd be a good idea if you wrote a friend a nice letter, all the things that you appreciate about them, all the things you like about them, something they could read to pick them up if they were feeling anxious or depressed. You could either, the teacher could allocate you a person to write for, or you could choose a person on your table, but it's probably nice if everybody gets a letter. So if we could make sure that everybody gets a letter, that would be great. And I look forward to hear about all the work that you've done, how you've liked this video, and I shall see you next week. Bye.